Good afternoon and welcome to Troy. I do have the honor to serve on the City Council alongside President Greg Meeks, Councilman Max Davis, my friends and colleagues that are right front and center here, Sharon McSwain Holland, who represents District 1, and Wanda Moultrie, representing District 5. It is with great honor and privilege that I bring you greetings on behalf of my friends and colleagues and our Mayor, Jason Reeves. So welcome to the City of Troy, and welcome to this luncheon. Not only do I bring you greetings, I bring you gratitude for the Leadership Advisory Board for organizing, to Chancellor Hawkins and Troy University for hosting this wonderful event, and to those that dedicated hands and hearts to making this happen. We know that something of this magnitude doesn't just happen without a lot of hard work. So I want to take a moment to thank each of you that had a hand in playing it, to be here, to get us here today. The last time I was out this podium was actually 7 years ago at this conference, and it was yet to be named the John Robert Lewis Leadership Conference. And he was with us. And while he is with us in many ways today in spirit, when I say he was with us, he was with us. He literally was sitting where Chancellor Hawkins is today. And after we left the luncheon that day, we went over to the Troy Public Library, and there was this huge banner that hung outside that said John Lewis Day. And it was a beautiful day for our city that we were able to honor John Robert Lewis and proclaim it as John Lewis Day. And there was a beautiful program, and choirs were singing, and we unveiled a historic marker, which I would encourage each of you, when you leave here today, the Troy Public Library is not very far. Go by and read those words that outline the legacy and life of John Robert Lewis. But it was a magnificent day that had culminated. He had spoken to a packed house over at Sartain Hall that Friday night, kicking off the conference, and we had ended the event, and the crowds had trickled out, and the musicians were packing up, and we had taken the Congressman inside the library, and there was a display there where we had these large photos that just outlined his life, and books that we had acquired for the permanent collection at Troy Public Library. We got any and every book that we could find, and there are a lot, but including his autobiography there. And we were showing him these things and kind of watching him take a walk down memory lane, if you will. And it struck me that it was such a full circle moment for him, for us as a city, for him to be here in this big, beautiful building as the library. And, you know, as the kids like to say today, if you know, you know. And I had read that autobiography, and I knew that at the age of 16, John Robert Lewis had been denied, due to discriminatory policies, a library card at the public library. And so it was not lost on me, the magnitude of that moment. And, you know, there we were in a new building, a new day in many ways for our city. And he had some family members there, and his staff and security, and the mayor. And then there was this kid. He was about 6 or 8 years old, and he was with his dad, and they had sort of lingered around just in hopes maybe to get an autograph or a photograph. And when John Lewis recognized and realized what was going on, there was a shift. And suddenly it didn't become about him and his life and his memory lane anymore, but he gave his full attention to this little boy. And it was as if the rest of us just sort of faded into the background. And it was beyond a handshake and a photograph and a, hey, how are you? But he stooped down, and he really had a conversation. And he asked him about school and sports and his family. And I don't even know really how the conversation went, because it became such a private moment for them. And I remember looking at his security detail, because we had worked very closely with his team, and I knew his schedule, and I knew that this was the ending of, you know, what had been a great but very, very busy weekend for the Congressman, and that he was planning to go home and to spend time with his family and rest. And so I said sort of something to his security detail, you know, kind of looking at the clock there, and he just shook his head and smiled, and he said, "That's the Congressman. Anyone that wants his attention, everywhere, anywhere we go, he makes time." And I said, wow, I mean, that's amazing, that's remarkable, but I can imagine the challenge that comes when you're tasked with keeping him safe and keeping him on schedule. And he said, you should try going through the Atlanta airport with him sometime. But you know, Maya Angelou, we have that famous quote from her that says, people may forget what you said and they may forget what you did, but they will never forget how you feel. And that reminds me so much when I think of Congressman John Robert Lewis. And I know that you have heard a lot of words of wisdom and you've had some great, interesting speakers. I hope you don't forget what you've heard this conference. And there's been a lot of tremendous work that has gone into the planning, and I hope that you will remember those that worked so hard for us to be here today and have this experience together. But mostly I hope that you will never forget how you have felt in this experience. Be that you felt challenged, inspired, hopeful. I hope that you have felt empowered. And as I stand here with the privilege to bring you greetings and gratitude, I want you to always know that we hope, whether you are visiting with us or whether you're one of our very own, that you will always feel welcomed here in the city of Troy. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Like he said, my name is Betsy Bennett, and I have the privilege of serving as the 98th Student Government Association president here at Troy University. It is just such an honor to welcome you all to the 22nd Annual John Robert Lewis Leadership Conference. And although I hadn't personally met Congressman Lewis, he resonates with me in a lot of ways, and he's inspired me so much because similar to him, I also was born right here in Troy, Alabama. And so he is so inspiring to see that someone from such a small town can make such a big impact. After this morning's sessions and last night's powerful words, I hope you all feel so inspired and motivated to lead with purpose and commit ourselves to work and the responsibility of leadership. Congressman John Lewis showed us that leadership is not about holding a position. It's about service, sacrifice, and standing up for what is right, even though it can be difficult. As we sit here today at the luncheon, let us also take a moment to reflect on how we can turn today's lesson and yesterday's lesson and the sessions that we had this morning into action. How will we use our labor, our voices, and our influence to make meaningful change? Leadership is not just learned, it is lived. It's lived through those like John Robert Lewis, who dedicated his life to justice, equality, and making good trouble. And it must be lived through us as we carry forward his legacy with purpose and action. Thank you all for being a part of this conference today, and I hope you all enjoy the luncheon as well as your time on Alabama's most beautiful campus. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to welcome you all on behalf of Charles Henderson High School, better known as the Gym atop a hill. Throughout the years, the annual Robert Lewis Leadership Conference has been and continues to be a wonderful opportunity for attendees, especially students like ours, to be encouraged by notable guest speakers while being able to appreciate the beginning of Black History Month. This year's conference speakers include Dr. Jack Hawkins, Jr., Chancellor of Troy University, and Keith Elder, President of St. Xavier University. That said, I'm certain you all will enjoy your time here at this year's Leadership Conference.
Good afternoon. It is truly an honor to stand before you today as Ms. Troy University and to welcome you to this incredible gathering, the John Robert Lewis Leadership Conference. This event has been a part of my journey at Troy for years as a student, and now to stand here and officially greet you all is both humbling and inspiring. I am a native of Albany, Georgia, a place rich in history, resilience, and the spirit of changemakers like John Robert Lewis. His legacy of courage, leadership, and unwavering commitment to justice continues to inspire us all. Just this past week, I was actually in Atlanta, Georgia, doing some advocacy work at the Capitol, and someone asked me what I do. When I proudly told them that I was a student at Troy University, their response was immediately, "Oh, where John Robert Lewis is from." That moment reminded me of the power of his name and the responsibility that we all have to carry forward his mission. As the founder of See It Be It, a movement focused on empowering youth through representation and inclusion, I believe deeply in the importance of visibility and opportunity. I was born with an extreme visual impairment that led me to have 4 eye surgeries before the age of 2. In addition to my own disability, I'm the oldest child in a very diverse family. I have a sibling with an invisible disability, a sibling with severe PTSD, a sibling that is a different race than I am, and 4 out of 5 siblings that were adopted through foster care. John Robert Lewis lived his life ensuring that young people, people with a disability like mine, people like my siblings, and people like you, had a seat at the table and a voice in the room. His mission was about more than just making history. It was about making a future where everyone has their own chance to lead. That is what this conference represents. Look around this room. Leaders, visionaries, change makers, coming from all over, unifying under one purpose, to champion the ideas that John Robert Lewis fought for. To be here today is to take up that charge, to stand together as a unified front for justice, equity, and progress. It is my deepest hope that you leave here today not only inspired, but empowered, knowing that the work that we do here does not end when this luncheon does, but it continues in our communities, in our classrooms, in our careers, and in the lives of those we touch. So on behalf of Troy University, I welcome you. Thank you for being here, for believing in the mission, and for choosing to make a difference. Let's make good trouble together. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are all doing well. And as everyone has stated so far that's been at the podium, I would also like to echo welcome to Troy University, welcome to our great city, and welcome to this amazing conference. I hope you've all had a very transformative and amazing experience here, and I hope today is nothing short of that. So I am tasked with announcing the winners of the John Robert Lewis Conference Leadership Award, and I hope I do it justice. So, without further ado, I will start with Mr. Malachi Everett. Malachi Everett is a 20-year-old from the great city of... Malachi Everett is a 20-year-old from the great city of Brundage, Alabama. He has been fortunate to be blessed with 2 great parents, Henry and Rachel Everett, and his little sister named Michaela Everett. Malachi is a student at the prestigious Troy University, majoring in music industry. He has a driving passion for music and is currently a hardworking professional in the music industry. As he grows up, his goal is to tour and appear on big stages around the world with many renowned artists. Malachi is a devoted Christian who loves God and thanks him every day for his talents and abilities. He is a proud member of Hines Chapel AME Church in Dothan, Alabama, and without Christ, he knows he would not be where he is today. Malachi is thankful for his village and the people who have helped raise him. He has met people that have poured into him and pushed him in ways that he couldn't imagine, and he is truly grateful. His favorite quote is by Nelson Mandela, and it states, it always seems impossible until it's done. He says that this is because regardless of what it took to get the outcome, it is done and can make a difference for any and everyone. Kazani Snell. Kazani Snell is a passionate leader and dedicated student at Troy University. While she has been at Troy, she has held positions as the Public Relations Chair of Freshman Forum, Director of Freshman Forum, and a member of the NAACP and Sparkle Mentoring Club. She currently serves as Executive Secretary of the Student Government Association and International Awareness and Involvement Chair for the Nu Theta chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. With a strong commitment to service and leadership, Kazani strives to make a meaningful impact on campus and beyond. After graduating, she plans to attend medical school and pursue a career as a physician dedicated to improving the lives through healthcare. Kazani Snell. Gabrielle Moore. Gabrielle Moore is a dedicated psychology major with a passion for mental health advocacy. She plans to gain workforce experience before pursuing a PhD and later attending medical school to become a double licensed psychiatrist. An active leader on campus, Gabrielle has held key roles in Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Freshman Forum, Troy Dance Team, and the University Activities Council. She has also been recognized as Miss Trojan Pride and a homecoming court representative. With her strong leadership, academic excellence, and commitment to service, Gabrielle is determined to make a lasting impact in mental health care. Gabrielle Moore. Elizabeth McMahon. Elizabeth McMahon is a senior from Decatur, Alabama, majoring in biomedical sciences. Through her time at Troy, she has been grateful for the opportunity to be involved in various organizations, including the Student Government Association, the Trojan Ambassador Association, Alpha Delta Pi Sorority, the Living Stones Retreat, the Chemistry Club, and serving as a resident assistant. She is honored to be a member of the Beta Beta Beta, Omicron Delta Kappa, Order of Omega, and Alpha Epsilon Delta Honor Societies. Elizabeth has also been recognized by the 87 Club, studied abroad as a global scholar, and was humbled to be elected to the 2024-2025 Homecoming Court. After graduation, she hopes to continue her education in the medical field and dedicate her career to providing primary care to underserved rural communities in the region. Elizabeth McMahon. Bernard Thomas. Bernard Thomas is a senior criminal justice major with a Spanish minor, originally from Detroit, Michigan. He was elected for the 87 this past fall semester. He was Freshman Forum president during his first year and a member of the Troy football team. Bernard has been a part of the Student Government Association all of his time here at Troy. Bernard is a Student Government Association executive officer as the current vice president of campus affairs. Bernard is currently a resident assistant here at Troy's campus. He is a part of the nationally recognized Criminal Justice Honor Society, Alpha Phi Sigma. Bernard was recently named on the Chancellor's list for outstanding academic achievement this past fall. He has been a leader in many capacities and has encouraged others to do the same. Bernard plans to pursue a career in law enforcement after receiving his bachelor's degree from Troy University. Bernard Thomas. Elizabeth Bennett is a human services major with a minor in applied health sciences from Eufaula, Alabama. Throughout her time at Troy University, she has become an active member in many organizations such as Alpha Gamma Delta Sorority and the Student Government Association. One of her proudest accomplishments was founding the Troy Women in Business Club. Betsy currently serves as the Student Government Association's president, advocating for the student body while working closely with administrators and faculty. Betsy plans to continue her education at the University of Alabama at Birmingham in the Doctor of Occupational Therapy program. Betsy Bennett. Derek Nobles. Derek Nobles is a dedicated leader, passionate about service and student encouragement at Troy University. As president of both 101 Elite Men and the University Activities Council, he has mentored peers and planned impactful campus-wide events. His leadership extends to serving as Welcome Week Director, Treasurer of the National Panhellenic Council, and President of the Dean's Student Advisory Council for the Sorrell College of Business. A Trojan Ambassador and proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Derek has also strengthened alumni connections as chairman of the Alumni Relations for the Sorrell Men's Society. His peers have recognized his dedication by electing him as the 2023 Mr. Trojan Pride and 2024 Homecoming King. Above all, Derek strives to uplift others, foster inclusivity, and leave a lasting legacy of leadership at Troy University. Derek Nobles. Our final recipient was not able to attend today, and that is former SGA President Theodore Tonez. Let's give this amazing group of students a round of applause.
afternoon. All right. Welcome again to the 22nd John R. Lewis Leadership Conference. I am Dr. Dion Rosser Mims, and it is an honor and a privilege to be here today. And in fact, it's an honor to introduce a distinguished leader who really needs no introduction. Dr. Hawkins has been an incredible mentor of mine for the past almost 17 years since I've been with the institution. And it's been an awesome journey to see Dr. Hawkins' leadership of this great institution. So I would be remiss if I didn't share just a few highlights of Dr. Hawkins' career. It's important to remember that Dr. Jack Hawkins Jr. is a native of Mobile, Alabama, and was named Chancellor of Troy University in September of 1989. This makes Dr. Hawkins the longest-serving CEO of a public university in the United States. That does deserve a round of applause. Dr. Hawkins has many accolades, but I would suggest it's important to mention. As Chancellor, Dr. Hawkins has led Troy University's transformation into an international institution. Troy University enrolls students from 75 nations on its main campus and operates teaching sites in several countries. In 2008, Troy University was the first American university to ever award a bachelor's degree in Vietnam. Dr. Hawkins is married to Janice Hawkins, and they have 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren. Dr. Hawkins, thank you for your leadership, thank you for your service, and thank you for your vision of this institution. We look forward to your remarks.
Thank you. How many students are here today from either the university or high school? Okay, let me make it very, very clear. We want you to stay or we want you to come, okay? Let me tell you a quick story about my grandson, Patrick Jackson. I love that young man, and I'm going to see him across the finish line or I'm not going to graduate or retire, okay? but the power of this university is seen in Patrick Jackson. I remember several years ago, he had never been outside the country. Patrick had never been on a plane, and all of a sudden he found himself in Pietrasanta, Italy, scared to death. The next year after that experience, he toured Europe and played music. That's transformation. Gabby, we want you to follow in your brother's footsteps. Sheila, we love you. We love the committee. We just are so grateful. It's like looking out and seeing old friends. I can't believe this is the 22nd time we've done this. And I'm going to do something I haven't done before. But I'm taken back to the spring of 1990, my first year here. They were filing the last card in the card catalog in the library. Now, some of you are far too young to remember that, but we used to go to the card catalog and find the book or journal or whatever, and then we would go and find it in the library someplace. They asked me to do this. They asked me to be in the library to file the last card in the card catalog. And they also asked me to make some comments. We had a librarian who was retiring after 50 years. And so I did it. I was new. I'd been here less than a year, and I had my formal speech in my pocket, and I was ready. But I get there, and they asked me to make some comments, and I did about this wonderful lady. And then I stepped up to file that card in the card catalog. And as I stood there, I ruffled through all those cards, and 2 thoughts occurred to me. One, that's all I'd ever known. All I'd ever known from elementary school, through high school, through a doctoral program, those cards. And I thought, what an experience this is. It was an emotional experience, really. The second thought I realized, though, after I said, how many cards have I touched, was I probably hadn't touched enough of them along the way. I turned to this group and I said, it occurs to me that what we're experiencing here is probably the greatest demonstration of going from high touch to high tech. In 1990, 100% of our students were in class, whether here or around the world. Today, half of our students are in class, and the other are studying online. Think about the changes that we've experienced. I left my formal speech in my pocket after I shared that because I thought that said all that needed to be said. That was a great demonstration. But then I concluded that by saying, but the successful university of the future will be neither high touch nor high tech. It'll be a combination of those two things because we are still first and foremost in the people business. You know, life, the older I get, the more I realize life is about relationships. It's not about money, it's not about things, it's about people and making a difference in the lives of people. And so for you, I'm going to leave my formal speech in my pocket and make a few comments that come more from the heart than from the paper. 23 years ago, it was Lamar Higgins who made the suggestion, along with Sheila and other community leaders, that we needed to come together. Why? Because real leadership is about bringing people together and not dividing them. That's when real leadership occurs. It's not what we say in life, it's what we do. But when the two intersect, that is real leadership. But it has to be about people, and it has to be about building relationships. That was Lamar Higgins. That was Lamar Higgins. And what difference did the one man make? I want all of you to know the ballrooms are named after Lamar Higgins. We lost him in April of 2021, so it'll soon have been 4 years. But what he did will linger on far, far beyond the time when most of us are not even here. Lamar Higgins. What else did he do? One of the great honors of my life was made possible by Lamar Higgins, and that was the introduction to Miss Rosa Parks. And we actually had an opportunity to work directly with Miss Parks. I can't tell you how many conversations we had and how much I tried to absorb from that wonderful lady. A lady who sat down so everybody else could stand up. And that was inherent in her. We were so proud to not only plan and build, but open and operate the Rosa Parks Museum. If you haven't been there lately, please go back. We just invested about $1.5 million to upgrade the technology. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity right here in the state of Alabama, and we built it on the very location where she was arrested on December the 1st, 1955. We opened it on December the 1st, 2000, 45 years after that occasion. But it tells a story, and one of the great and most frequent patrons was another great icon, the boy from Troy, John Robert Lewis, who brought more than 100 congressmen and women into that facility to help tell the story about this woman. But it was not about Miss Parks, it was about America. It was about America and where we're going as a people. And then what about that other icon that we talked about on occasion? I know Lamar loved Martin Luther King. We love what Martin Luther King stood for, and he's made it the best point. And that is, he said, judge me not on the basis of my skin, but on the basis of my character. And that remains today the main focus of where we need to be going as a nation. Character, merit. Put those things first and without prejudice, and the same should be true. Black, white, brown, yellow, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. I'll have to tell you a personal story that really changed my life. On April the 4th, 1968, I was at Travis Air Force Base, about to board the plane to go to Vietnam. We were walking out of the terminal. The last thing that we saw on April the 4th, 1968, In the dark of the night was the news coming from Memphis, Tennessee, about Martin Luther King having been assassinated. Literally, our world was crumbling. We were about to get on a plane to go fight a war when we were having wars right here in the United States. So you can just imagine the trepidation most of us felt as we got on that plane. What is all this about? I was 23 years old, wondering, what is all this about? But we didn't crumble as a nation. We pulled ourselves up from the bootstraps. And I really believe that we're stronger today because the hotter the fire, the stronger the steel. We learn from our mistakes. It was F. Scott Fitzgerald who said it best as he talked about young people born in wealth. He said, if you're born in wealth, you probably are going to be weak in those places you ought to be strong, and strong in those places you ought to be weak. You think about that. You know, we are better as a nation because of the hardships as long as we pull together. A life-changing experience. I had never gone to an integrated school. It was a different era. Even in college, even in the United States Marine Corps, I was a second lieutenant. There were 300 second lieutenants and not one African American in that group. I got on that plane, I went to Vietnam. I got off that plane, got on another plane, and then they put me on a helicopter and sent me out to the field. I picked up my platoon, about 40 young men, about 20% African American, about 15% Hispanics, one or two others, and the most white. That was my first real experience with integration. But I'll tell you this, when that first round goes off, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And what you learn is all blood flows red. When you want to learn the value of people, you get to know them. You understand them. And then you can appreciate the differences, and then you can take those differences and build relationships. That's what we tried to do at Troy University. When I arrived here, Sohail was one of 40 international students. Today we have almost 70 countries. Before COVID, we had 75 countries represented here. Why have we done that? We've done it because it's a strategic way to bring the world to Troy, to expose our students from Charles Henderson, from Demopolis, all over the state and country, expose them to different cultures and different backgrounds. It's there that we grow stronger. It's there that we can find the future. It's there that we can weave together all these beautiful threads into one piece of fabric. And not only is it more interesting, it's a heck of a lot stronger. We can do it as a nation. We can do it as a nation if all of us continue to work together. Why is this university committed? We need strong leaders. It was Thomas Jefferson who said and tried to tell us about the delicate nature of this democracy. And it is delicate. It can be given away or it can be taken away. But believe me, we were in Vietnam in November. We were in Ireland in August. We were in Korea in June. We were in Mexico in March. I love America, but I never love America more than when I'm not in America. When I'm out there looking back, I see a country that is full of blessings. It's not perfect, but by golly, when you get around the world and you look back, this is the most perfect union that exists today. And if you don't believe that, watch the news tonight and hear all that you hear about those 20 million people trying to come into this country. We don't have 20 million trying to leave, do we? They're trying to come. And sometimes we forget how blessed we are as a people and as a nation. And I say to you, the best is yet to be. The best is yet to be if we remain united and if we put each other first. God bless you.
I get to go to church twice this weekend. Dr. Hawkins, I've got a little something for you. Not that you need one more thing for your office, but thank you for your continued leadership, not only to this university, but our community. I think we can all agree, no matter if you've been here since 1989 or just recently, but this campus looks very different since Dr. Hawkins arrived. I think this campus feels very different since Dr. Hawkins arrived. And that has trickled on into our community and our state. And thank you for your vision, for your leadership, and just for being you. So we present this to you on behalf of the City of Troy for your continued leadership to this university and specifically to this conference.
Thank you.
And you know Miss Sheila's not going to let you get out the door without a gift. So you can take that home to Miss Janice.
I sure will. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. First, giving honor to God, all praise and Almighty for his redeeming grace and for the great things he has done. If you have not been here these past 2 days, you have missed some great things. But just know those great things are not over with yet, because why? We'll be back here at the same time, same place next year. Last night, Dr. Elder shared with us some leadership qualities that we all need in today's world. We need more leaders, not just people who want to lead for title's sake, but for people who are wanting to lead by service. Growing up in church, if not on Saturday, every other Saturday or every Saturday, I seemed like I was involved with the church group. Seemed like every Saturday, every other Saturday, I was going to Eufaula, Dothan, you name it. And being young, giving up your early Saturday mornings, that was a problem, okay? But one thing my mom always told me is that serving the Lord pays off. And during those times when I would have a frown on my face, or when I didn't want to go with Miss Catherine to wherever we was going that Saturday, she would always say, I'm telling you, boys, serving the Lord pays off. And truly, I say to the students, serving the Lord does pays off. It pays off in school, it pays off in your home, it pays off in your job, but most importantly, it pays off as you strive to be those leaders that the university is equipping you to be. I also would like to thank the past chairs of this event. If the past chairs would please stand to be recognized. I thank you for setting the tone, not just for me, but for all of those who have followed after your chairmanship. To the men and ladies of 101 Men Elite, and to the ladies of Miss Elite Society and the NPHC, the Trojan Ambassadors for Charles Henderson High School, if you all would please stand, and thank you all so that you can be recognized. These students gave up their Friday evenings, they gave up their Saturday morning to be here, and for that, we are just grateful. My hope when you leave here from this conference is that someone said something, someone smiled at you, someone shook your hand, someone said, hey, how are you doing? And that led you to want to become a better leader. Before I take my seat, I would like to say, before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. Thank you for attending this conference, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.